Sarah here. Welcome back. So I have finished my study of the Muse Tarot. Hooray! And today I wanted to share some of my favorite cards from the deck. I mean, when are we ever really done with the deck study? Am I right? So for the past few months, I've been doing a deck study for this deck here. I just started this deck study on a whim, just felt like getting deeper in some cards, and this was a deck that has a lot of symbolism, a lot of imagery in here, but I never felt like I was able to get into that symbolism during a reading, because during a reading, I'm just focused on trying to get the answer from the cards. So I wanted to intentionally study this deck and look at the cards more deeply. Here is the finished pages. So we've got this page here. It was the first page. I started this study back in May, and then here's the next couple pages here. So beautiful, right? I love seeing filled out pages like this. And then most recently, some more filled out pages here. And then here is the last page of the deck study. So for here, wrap up, I might note down my favorite cards or maybe a spread or come up with some spreads. I'm not really sure what I'll do with this last page yet. I did make a video like last month or a couple months ago showing exactly how I do my deck study. Essentially, what I do is I just shuffle the deck and I draw one card at a time. So let's say I've got the Fool, and I'll just gaze at what this card looks like. So the symbolism, the colors, characters, what are they doing? What are their characters wearing? How are the elements in the card placed? Like, for example, this light here might symbolize like enlightenment, which is reached at the precipice when we allow ourselves to go into the gap of what we do and what we don't know. So essentially, I'll just note down all these symbols, all these things that I notice into my deck study journal here. There were a couple times when I also looked up what certain symbols mean. For example, like pyramids. I remember I had to look at what pyramids usually meant. It was just a fun study in symbolism and making my own meaning from these cards and these elements here. And through looking at each of these cards, I've really gotten more appreciation for the ways that colors are used and the choices that the deck creator made. There were some cards that I still did not like, and there were some cards that I changed my mind on after looking more deeply at the symbolism. So that's why today I wanted to share with you some of my favorite cards. Some of these favorite cards are cards that I already liked from the beginning. Some of these are also cards that I grew to like after studying them more in depth. And real quick, before getting into it, I also want to share this book. It's called 21 Ways to Read a Tarot Card by Mary K. Greer. And as you can imagine, it explains 21 different ways to read a tarot card. This was a book that was so helpful for me when I was first starting out because it taught me to look for my own meanings and my own ideas of what the card meant. Not just based on the card name, but even all the elements in the card. Let me pull a card over here. So for example, the emotions that a card can depict or evoke in us. What is the story of the card? We've got the number and the suit. Metaphor, what can this card be a metaphor for in life? Symbols, that was definitely something that I used a lot and thought about a lot when doing this deck study. And then a bunch of other methods or things that you can take into account when reading a card that I have not really put into practice yet. For the future and future deck studies, I would love to try even more of these activities and see if I can glean more meaning from the cards in this way. For this first deck study, just looking through at the symbolism and the foreground, background, the story of the card, that was already really, really fascinating. All right, so getting into the favorite cards, I think what I'll do is I'll just flip through the cards, and then when I get to a favorite card, I'll pull it out and I'll talk about it some more, right? Okay, so here is a quick flip through of the Muse Tarot. All right, our first favorite card, Justice. I remember when I first pulled this card, I was so confused. I did not know what to make of this card at all. So when I actually pulled this for a deck study, I think it was on video that I actually pulled this. I had to really gaze on all these things that seemed so confusing. First of all, we see the black and white concepts here. The Justice concept, the Justice card usually talks about weighing two like opposite things in my mind. I know that there's sacred geometry in this deck. I have no idea what to make of it at this time. So for now, what I see with the cube inside the pyramid, or this, not really pyramid, this triangle 3D shape, is that sometimes things are not what they seem on the outside. Like this shape on the outside does not match the shape on the inside. We also have the moon symbolism back here, which can represent confusion and not knowing all the answers. What I especially noticed and loved about this card was that, so we have this first face here that is opening up. So maybe it can represent like awakening consciousness, because it's almost like judgment in a way, where you're arising from something. And then this face inside is still opening up as well, but there is no face there. There's like more enlightenment. So I think this is a nod to, we have to go within and then question what we knew inside or within to reach more, I guess, enlightenment or more clarity or more notions of fairness or equality, which makes sense because I think that a lot of the ways that we think are fair or are just maybe are not actually that fair or just when we look at them more deeply. There is a never-ending quest for knowledge and for fairness. There is no true answer or solution that is actually one size fits all. The answer just has to be introspected on. So there's introspection happening here in the Justice card. These two paths at the bottom, it reminds me that the quest of fairness is a quest for answers. I associate light with answers and darkness with just confusion or murkiness. So this card, after looking at it, was so fascinating to me. I hope I have changed your mind on this Justice card. All right, getting to another favorite card. We've got the Tower. It reminds me of how I might have felt as like a teen reading my teen fantasy books. I would have loved to be like this epic girl who like has thunder and lightning surrounding her, and like it's just a really cool image, and it reminds me of like my teenage days. It looks like this character is meant to be like upside down because their hair is spiked up or flying up. So imagine like this, right? Like standing upside down in a way. I don't know. This is just very tricky, topsy-turvy looking card. All the lines here are so dynamic. Like all of the focus of this card really honing into this one center area here. The composition of this card is really cool. That's what I meant to say. The composition is really cool. Also, the clarity in this card is really apparent. There's no extra elements around this person here. There's only like this person falling, which represents, you know, almost like falling off the tower, like in the original Rider-Waite-Smith. But besides that, the focus on this card is very clear. It is this person having all the power, maybe attracting all the change. So yeah, the composition of this card makes it a favorite card. All right, another favorite card. The Five of Inspiration, or in this deck, the Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands to me is about clashing energies. It can be clashing energies with other people. It can also be clashing energies or clashing desires within ourselves. And the way that this is depicted here is really funny and really clever to me. We have looks like a mirror or a window. And each of these five figures has a different mirror or different window, along with their different poses. And they're just looking different ways. All of these people have their own agendas and their own things that they're focused on, their own things that they want. I think even the book describes the different desires and different agendas as well. Let's see. So this passage here is what I tied most with this card as it's depicted. How do you compete in life? Do you lead with your ideas, your feelings, your charm, deep conversation, or perhaps is your sexuality? Do you lead with your ideas? Maybe this is ideas. Your feelings, one of these maybe could be feelings. Your charm, this one could be the charm because mirror self. Deep conversation, maybe this one because the whole looks deep. Or perhaps your sexuality, like this one here. So I thought this was so clever. Super cool card. Let's put that to the side, actually. Another favorite card already. Okay, the Seven of Inspiration, Seven of Wands, with this person looking naked, which symbolizes vulnerability. What looks like the story in this card is that the darkness here threatens to maybe close up this person or close up like this sky, this possibilities, this light. And so this person has to hold out their arms and have this strong stance to keep the darkness away and to protect like their world. But this person's face is like down toward their knees. So this posture makes me think that maybe it's not out of confidence. Maybe it's out of desperation. This could also mean like a Two of Swords moment where this person is not actually looking around at what it is. They're just kind of keeping their head to their knees. Like, how many times have we been defensive and then maybe we realize later, after knowing more facts or being more open to possibilities, that maybe we didn't need to be that defensive or argumentative in the first place, right? Like, maybe we do need to actually look up and look more at the facts and what these things are before we like choose to be argumentative. This was a card that definitely confused me before. I think overall it still confuses me. I don't know why there's pyramids here, but the aesthetics, the vibe is cool. That's what I found in this deck study as well. Was this card an intentional choice of symbolism, or were these symbols here just because it looks cool? I think for here, the pyramids just kind of look cool. I still didn't know what kind of meaning to make from them for the Queen of Wands. Another favorite card, the Four of Cups. So this one, it's got that really cool optical illusion where, first of all, it looks like these two faces, but also in the middle of it, it is this big cup. If you don't see the cup here, let me cover up the faces. I hope you can see the cup better. I loved optical illusions as a kid. They were very cool to wrap my brain around. This one feels very similar to the Seven of Wands in that both figures are looking down. They're not looking up at like the things around them. The symbolism of this person sitting on top of the water is also interesting. It feels like a neutral statement of, I don't feel like being in my feelings right now, or I just feel okay or neutral about the fact. Like not wanting to get involved and get all deep into your feelings. Like that's why this person is up here and not down here in the depths. This choice to make the fourth cup, like the container that this person and the cups are in, is very clever. I also love the color contrast here. Red headband and their red pants compared to all the blue. It's a very interesting color contrast. I think the faces here do look kind of goofy, although I know that the intention is to make the cups this way. So yeah, another favorite card though, the Four of Cups. And then the Six of Cups. I know a lot of Six of Cups cards will have the person and a younger child actually looking at each other or interacting with each other. But this person is looking off into the distance. The child is here almost like kept close in their lap. And there are the elements of the inner child here. So the both being blonde and all these like kiddish looking things like the imagination, wanting to be like an airplane, the planet associating with possibilities, the suitcase representing maybe wanting to go places. So there's a lot of like activeness or plans or ideas referenced in this like child area. The mirror here actually is more like a window because the background here leads off to like some mountains and there's like some tree looking things here, whereas over here we don't see it. So maybe the Six of Cups here represent like not just reminiscing, but also imagining. And again, in this card, we have the neutral expression, similar to like here. Oh shoot, I keep forgetting to put the cards over there. Okay. Similar to other cards, this card has like a neutral expression. And I really like neutral expressions in tarot cards because it takes away the notion that they are good or bad cards. So with this person just looking neutral, it can seem like this is a necessary time of remembering, or it can seem like reminiscing things that maybe aren't important or not relevant anymore, or not necessary to reminisce on anymore, maybe because they don't apply to the current situation. Another card here, the Eight of Cups, similar to the Tower card here. I love how pared down these cards are. The guidebook mentions this setting is like the desert. So I associate desert with very difficult times when you don't know what your resources are, or it might be far until you reach the next resource, or I don't know, a safe haven or something. Because this card is so pared down, there's nothing here. There's just this figure looking determined, walking forward. It gives a vibe of like, this is a choice I'm making, even though it is a difficult choice. Like this person is walking through and there's nothing to like comfort them. They've got nothing else. Both figures here are also wearing black, I notice. Black, the color of mourning in Western cultures. And there's an eclipse depicted here as well. The guidebook mentions the eclipse represents like blocking the source of illusion, I think. So really, really cool symbolism here, honestly. So yeah, that's the Eight of Cups. Another favorite card, we've got the Three of Voices or the Three of Swords. This one I wrote off at first because I was like, what a typical like shattered three swords looking kind of card. But as I dove into the symbolism, I got to appreciate this card more. First of all, these 3 points, when I look closer, sorry, I'm out of frame, I noticed that the figure actually looks broken in this way. It's not just 3 lines that are crossing the person. They're actually breaking the person apart, and the person actually maybe feels kind of shattered in this way. With the 3 being a number of integration, this can be an integration of new knowledge. And when we have new knowledge that maybe shakes up what we knew or thought before, it can cause us to recreate our beliefs or rewrite our beliefs in a way that works better with the new knowledge that we're integrating. This person is also naked, like I mentioned in the Seven of Wands, right? So nakedness in this position can represent like vulnerability. In contrast to the Seven of Wands here, this person has their arms out in defense. This person is, holding their head and holding themselves close. And then we have a door here, and the door can symbolize maybe new chapters, new possibilities, new adventures, but the door is closed. This person doesn't feel like they want to go through that door or look at that door right now. The door also looks pretty old and tattered. So maybe this door can also represent like the old beliefs or the old chapters that we are going through and closing off as we integrate new knowledge. Also, this person is sitting in the darkness, and it's clear that there's like light all around here. The creator could have reversed this, maybe made this light and made all this darkness instead. So the symbolism of sitting in the dark, whereas everything else is light. Also, I don't know, it gives almost like hermit energy. Like we need to take time apart to look within ourselves and find the light within us. And speaking of the light, you could see these 3 light points as like either like these light points are going down into this person, or maybe this person is creating these 3 light points. Man, the contrast of light versus dark here makes this card really interesting. Put that to the side. All right, the Seven of Voices, Seven of Swords. This person's head is rising above these clouds, and clouds to me represent confusion and muddiness or murkiness, or maybe things to be revealed. So maybe they are seeing more, rising above confusion in a way, having new clarity. And these 2 foxes on the side, they look like they're neutral at first, but when we turn them upside down, the figure has their eyes looking more hooded and looking more shady. And these foxes also have their mouths open, looking more like ready to attack. This person on the bridge here, we've got this fox head on this person. So that can also represent like maybe integrating both, or someone who is not what they really seem, or maybe who is putting on a mask in a way. But interestingly, with these foxes and this person being here, this central figure can also represent maybe playing by their rules. Like imagine going to a corporate office where you're like in a bros world and you have to kind of learn to be one of the bros to like fit in with them. So that's what I could read into with this person fox here. It could be like putting on a mask to fit in with other people. I really like that interpretation and this depiction with the person with the fox mask or fox head, because it changes this card from being like somewhat of a negative card to just a neutral card. I could read this card positively or negatively or neutrally, depending on the situation. The Knight of Voices. This was one of the first cards that I studied and wrote down the symbolism of before I even started the Muse Tarot deck study. I love the action in this card. This horse is flying way above. It's got their mane and their tail are all in motion. Their wings are spread out and open and flying. This knight is rising above all of these clouds. And like I mentioned, clouds can mean confusion, but there's more clouds and stuff like up here. So this knight is rising above a lot of clouds, a lot of confusion and unclarity, and looking at the big picture of a lot of things. But there are still a lot of other things that this knight still has yet to learn, has yet to adventure through, I guess. Like they have to go through this portal and go see above all these other clouds or something. And this light here, these light rays can represent like enlightenment and true clarity. And I guess this knight already has a lot of clarity looking over here, but there's still more to learn. Let's see, these mountains or these jagged rocks can also represent like obstacles, and sharp objects. And this knight can now rise above and see that these sharp objects, these obstacles, are so much more manageable. And this little like pop of color down here with this flag, this banner, it represents like, I don't know, like a finish line or like running a race of some sort. So maybe the knight also sees everything as a competition here. So there's so many cool elements for this card that I've gotten to appreciate so much more. All right, Two of Materials, or Two of Pentacles. This was one of the last cards, the later cards that I studied. First, we see the typical Two of Pentacles pose with someone holding two pentacles and they seem to be balancing. There's some flow depicted in this card because this person is standing on a flat foot, which seems less precarious than standing on a tippy toe. Their hair is also in motion as their head is thrown back. Their hands also look like they're dancing in a way. But what I love most about this Two of Pentacles compared to other Two of Pentacles cards is that there's a rain shower of roses. In this deck, the roses and flowers represent the materials or the pentacles. So there's a rain shower of pentacles in the back of this card. And that makes me think of, in a world where there are so many possibilities and things that we could chase after, we have to focus on the two that we are able to hold right now. On the other hand, we could also read this card as, are the priorities that we're choosing to focus on right now the right ones when there are so many others out there that we could be looking at and questioning? Ooh, also noticing the flowers here that are above and below, it almost just feels like we're surrounded by priorities and things to do and things to have and things to hold. So yeah, the roses in the back, really, the rain shower here is my favorite part of this card. Another favorite card is the Three of Materials, Three of Pentacles. In this card, we see three heads that are like stacked on top of each other, but also we see the braid in the background. And the braid is my favorite part of this card. It really exemplifies the Three of Pentacles energy, integrating and really working together, putting together all of our resources to make a really strong thing. Braids are so strong, right? Like you can't break apart a braid because all three strands or three pieces are woven together so well. And it's really lovely that the flowers or the materials are also all woven together in the braid here with a little gold flower on top. And we've got like strands of light or like enlightenment, magical energy coming out of the braid with these like white dotted lines here. So yeah, super cool card. Almost at the end here, we've got the Seven of Materials or the Seven of Pentacles. I love the color contrast here. We've got the road here, which is black and white, and then surrounded by all of these wonderful colors of the flowers here. This card just has so many flowers. This person is not only looking at the flowers along the road, but they're also holding a bunch of flowers, and they're surrounded by flowers up here. So it definitely says that flowers, materials, resources is a lot on this person's mind. Where this character is looking down, of course, that is reminiscent of the typical Rider-Waite-Smith, where the person is looking at their pentacles. But the fact that this person is looking down at these flowers, they could be looking at these outer flowers instead. They could be looking at the galaxy, the cosmos instead. So again, this says a lot about where this person is choosing to focus. When these cards come up in a reading, using the ways that these characters are looking, the directionality can really influence or add more meaning to a reading. So I really love that in this deck, the characters are all looking like every which way. There's just so much directionality in the Muse Tarot here. The composition in this card is what makes it really stand out to me in this deck and across all of my other tarot decks, to be honest. Again, the color contrast here, the black and white here, the darkness of the night sky, contrasted with all the flowers, it just looks so pretty. The Ten of Materials, Ten of Pentacles. These lovely flowers, lovely pentacles materials on top of the tree here. And then we got a ring of people surrounding the tree. So the ring of people, circles can represent unity and harmony and equity in a way. And then the people are black and white, which can symbolize like supporting a greater cause. It can also symbolize like maybe depersonalization in a way. It makes me think of depersonalization in a way, how me and my group of friends, we could just be a group of friends, but then multiply like a group of friends by 10, then you have like a whole community. At what point, does your group of friends with names that become a community with people that you don't know? I hope that makes sense. Like, it's like depersonalizing. Like, you're not individuals anymore. You're all now like people in the community, cogs of the big community, I guess. So that's what this Ten of Materials makes me think of. It makes me think of community really transcending our individuality to become part of the collective, part of history. Yeah, and even the flowers here are even bigger than the people depicted here. So it adds to the representation of how the collective, or maybe the longevity, is the focus here rather than the people. The Page of Materials. Oh my gosh, I love this card. This card is super cool. So the page could be like a student, right? And this student is really embodying and almost getting into the mind of what it means to be one with the project or the thing that you're working on or working with or investing in. They've donned their outfit, which is literally made up of like the materials. And this head transfer looking thing here, it makes me think of either this page, this person is like almost manifesting or creating an idea of what they want their thing to look like. Or it could be the other way, where this thing already exists and you're really getting to the mindset of what a person who could handle this would look like. For example, when you're starting a small business or when you want to monetize your YouTube channel, your project or your business or your thing that you're investing in, it is a separate thing from you yourself. And if you want that thing to thrive, you have to really get into that thing's mindset. A personal example is when we got our cat. I can't think of a cat as having human-like needs. I now have to learn about what is the cat thinking, what is the cat doing, what is the cat most likely to want or to eat, what is a cat's ideal play times or active times. So this Page of Materials, like this, again, head thing, transferring thing, it really reminds me to get into the mindset of whatever it is you're working on. So very, very cool depiction of the Page of Pentacles here. And with that, I think that is all of our favorite cards. Well, my favorite cards. Are they your favorite cards too? So those were my favorite cards from the Muse Tarot. Did you like this video format or this video idea of me just talking about my favorite cards and things I noticed about them? I think it would be cool to do this kind of video for other decks as well. I totally encourage you to share and talk about your favorite cards as well from any deck that you want. It's just really cool to dive deeper into a deck and figure out which ones that we like the most and why. All right, well, that is all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.